New York and London streetscapes, Nectarius Pacios typing on a PC.
NVDA
Screen Reader.
Reader NVDA Screen Reader Google NV Access heading. Clickable down NVDA Screen Reader Google search.
Michael Curran, founder, NV Access.
In order to use a computer as a blind person, you need software that will read the text on the computer screen.
Street scene, then Dung Hoai Phuc, Sao Mai Center for the Blind,
The
Vietnam.
main function of the screen reader is to speak aloud the information displaying on the screen into braille or speech.
NV Access is an Australian-based charity which was primarily set up to support and develop the NVDA screen reading software. And our primary philosophy has always been that we believe that there should be no extra cost to using a computer if you're blind. NVDA is currently translated into 50 languages and it's used in at least 150 countries.
Tran, Ngoc, Than, teacher, Nguyen, Dinh, Chieu
I do
school.
not know about other countries, but in Vietnam, for visually impaired people, the only way to communicate with the outside world is through the computer. The students here all use NVDA on the computers.
Minh, Quang, student.
What I like best when using a computer is that I can communicate better with the social community. I can make new friends on Facebook, for example.
Michael Curran and James Tay, founders, NV Access.
We've known each other for a very, very long time. We've been good friends ever since we were children. We met, in fact, at a music camp for the blind when we were 10.
So we clicked very, very quickly. And it was, an instant kind of lifelong friendship, really. I think we both had an interest in helping people access things. I mean, we ourselves are both totally blind, and we know firsthand the challenges that are involved in accessing things.
I think we've been on an extraordinary journey over the last 11 years. I mean, I've learnt so much, and at the time there were no other free screen readers. They were all commercial and very expensive. But I just couldn't understand why an alternative hadn't already been written, one that was for free. So that's really how I started. I just, I guess in programming terms, I just glued things together. I mean, it was wobbly and, buggy and whatever, but in my head I could see the potential and I just put those things together.
And then as it started to develop, I think a few months later, towards the end of the year, we started seeing requests from people to translate it into their languages, and started seeing a lot of interest, and then Mozilla got interested, and at that point I started to realize, hey, this is actually getting noticed, a lot of notice in ways that I wouldn't have expected. It's not every day that you have someone come up to you and say, hey, can I translate your work into another language?
Zehe, QA,
When I
Mozilla.
first heard of NVDA and saw that it was open source, I thought, wow, this is amazing, because right up till then there were only very expensive commercial solutions that not many people could afford, especially in emerging countries.
We feel that it's essential that people can access technology and reap all the benefits that it has to offer, regardless of their financial situation or where they live.
Nowadays, all the screen readers cost like thousands of dollars. One of the biggest advantage of NVDA that is, it is the free and open source.
Ben Clare, Inclusive
software.
Education Officer,
built
Oz Training
entirely
International.
on user feedback and user contributions. So it's got basically what we want as blind people and as blind users of the software.
Monthian Buntan, UN.
Benefits my fellow blind people in my country and in some other countries.
Worldwide, this has increased participation of blind people in everyday life.
The Sao Mai Center for the Blind was created in 2001 with the objectives to address the existing technology, the access to existing technology for the blind. Through the center, we also have the job placement program. And now, most of our training program, we use NVDA to conduct the training, computer trainings for the blind. Last year, we have around 12 blind people using NVDA were employed at some telesales company, they use NVDA for their office work. The computer technology has closed the gap between the people with disabilities and without disabilities. Now they can better include into the society.
Lê Thị Thiêu, teacher, Nat Hong School for the Blind.
I think the future of visually impaired people will be better because at the moment a lot of companies have hired visually impaired people. So in my opinion, in the future, visually impaired people will have a better chance to find a job than before.
Students Nguyen, Hoai, Phuc and Minh, Quang.
Later, when I grow up, I can work as a typist to earn money for my life. Yes, after leaving school, I will study the field of information technology, especially network security and website administration, to bring a better internet environment to people.
It's about access, but it's also about empowering people. Historically, people with disabilities have actually done some really, really amazing things in the world. And if they hadn't been enabled by society in some way, society may never have benefited from what they had to offer.
We have a student at the moment who's from the Solomon Islands, who's got a scholarship, he's studying law in Fiji now, and he's doing that using NVDA. It would not have been possible, guaranteed would not have been possible without NVDA, because there was no funding available to purchase screen reading software. NVDA solved that problem, and this student is now in third year, and he will be the first lawyer with a vision impairment in the Solomon Islands. And he often attributes this to the assistance he's gotten through NVDA and using that software.
Karen Knight, General Manager,
People
Vision
don't
Australia.
know what they're capable of until they're given opportunity. And if you don't have opportunity to be able to access the information, you're locked out of all kinds of things that you don't even know exist. One of the barriers for people to get and keep jobs is access to the software. So if organisations can get access to that software free of charge, it really enables them to employ people who are blind or have low vision. And there is a very high unemployment rate amongst that community.
Leah Singh, Envision
So I
Massage.
started massage because I was initially looking for work after school and I found it really hard to find a job because of my eyesight. I first started using NVDA about probably 10 years ago. I used it throughout uni and now I use it at Envision Massage to do all the admin, communications, email my clients, send them the health forms that they have to fill out. I don't know if it's possible to use a computer without NVDA for me, to be honest. I wouldn't be able to do my work. I wouldn't be able to access stuff for everyday living, like whether it's just social media or doing my banking or online shopping. I use it for a range of things every day, not just my work.
Over the years, we have strengthened relationships with companies that are interested in what we have been doing, such as Google and Microsoft and Adobe and many other companies. We've been able to, I guess, find ourselves as a small niche, providing our expertise in accessibility. And that's really what we've ramped up, and that's sort of really our main income stream, and that's how we can continue. We're now selling training material, and we sell technical support services, and we sell accessibility consulting. But we will still have our primary mission of making sure that blind people have equal access to computers.
I can't recommend NVDA highly enough. I recommend it for school students. I recommend it for people who are doing temp work. So if you're just or need to borrow someone's computer for a short period of time, NVDA is a great solution.
Software and web developers will choose to use NVDA as a testing tool to make sure that their own software that they're producing.
Nectarius Pacios, Software Engineer, Google.
Great option for governments and organizations who want to hire blind people.
They don't need to feel that they are less professional, because I think NVDA is as professional as any commercially available screen reading software, except it's free and open source.
Anything that encourages employers to take that leap and employ someone who's blind or have low vision is of
Kevin Carey,
magnificent
Chair, Royal National Institute of Blind People.
All over the planet will be using NVDA because that is going to be the screen reader of choice, simply because it's free. And you can get some online support for it.
Our work is cut out for us. We never stop. We have to make sure that blind people are going to continue to be able to use NVDA.
So I believe that NVDA will become the main assistive tool for the blind who use Windows operating system in the future.
Và con hy vọng là
I hope that the program will be upgraded and further improved.
cải tiến và phát triển tốt hơn nữa.
You know, it is full steam ahead for NVDA, and we have lots of ideas of where we want to go into the future with NVDA in terms of innovative things like better access to mathematics and access to diagrams, you know, better access to scientific notation and scientific content.
And then, you know, the sky's the limit after that. There are so many ideas that I don't think we've even thought of yet in terms of where we can go. And I'm confident, though, that as technology develops, one of our greatest strengths is our ability to move fairly fast with those changes and ideas and run with them.
And it's so exciting to see the buy-in from around the world that they have from so many people, because it's made truly such a difference to people in a way that maybe they couldn't have dreamed of 10 years ago.
NV Access would like to thank the Nippon Foundation for supporting this video. Thank you to Michael and Amy Curran, James Tay, Quentin Christensen, Reef Turner, Tran, Ngoc, Minh, Quang, Marco Zehe, Dan Hoi Phuc, Ben Clare, Montian Buntan, Lee P. Theo, Nguyen Hoi Phu, Karen Knight, Leah Singh, Nectarius Pacios, Kevin Carey, Ed Rogers and Bristol Braille, Bristol Hackspace, Salmai Centre for the Blind, Nat Hong School for the Blind, Nguyen Din Chieu School, Barthi and Howe Temple, Mozilla, Google, Royal National Institute of Blind People, Vision Australia, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland, Travel Associates, Hotel Majestic Saigon, The Bristol Hotel, Novum Style Hotel Hamburg Centrum, Millennium Hilton New York 1 UN Plaza, Ibis London Euston Station, President Hotel London, Crew, Andrew Gibbs, Production Director, Dan Babler, Director of Photography Sound Mixer, Jaina Khalifa, Editor, Chantal Keegan, Production Assistant, Andy Nguyen, Vietnamese Fixer, Van Doc Khan, Vietnamese Film Officer, Jeff Economy, NYC Videographer, Marlo Patterson, NYC Sound Recordist, NV Access, empowering lives through non-visual access to technology.